Fox News host Brian Kilmeade attacked the Working Families Party. Now, for those of you who don't know about the Working Families Party, they're to the left of the Democrats. Perhaps not as far left as the Greens, but they're to the left of the Democrats. I used to really love them. This last election, they got under my skin more so because apparently their membership likely voted to endorse Bernie, but the management overrode them and basically endorsed Elizabeth Warren. So what happened recently with them was ugly, but they're still better than your average corporate Democrat. And so they released this new thing that is like a list of left-wing policies that they're going to try to force Joe Biden to sign on to. So they're trying to pressure Biden from the left. We can have a long conversation about how possible that is, but we're not going to do that at the moment. Well, Fox News, Brian Kilmeade, Fox and Friends, they have an issue with these left-wing groups doing that, and they're going to go through some of the things here that they think are outrageous, that they cannot believe that anybody would be pushing Joe Biden in this direction. Watch.
Working Families Party, People's Charter, 1,000 words, talking about they're demanding of Joe Biden, by the way, a $15 minimum wage, $16 billion immediately canceling student debt. They want affordable housing for all. Sounds like Russia. Universal or free health care. They want to give the public ownership stakes in all corporations, receiving bailouts, shifting money away from police departments towards communities.
I think that this clip really shows perfectly why running real lefties who believe in something, why that's actually a wildly successful idea. Because if you have left-wingers running openly on these bold economic proposals, what you do is you bait these goofballs on the right to come out against stuff which is just like, which most people view, according to the polls, as just super common sense. And, you know, there are a lot of pitfalls. The left makes the mistake oftentimes of leaning into issues where we don't have a majority support. And yes, when you focus too much on certain social issues, you can turn people off. And instead of leaning into stuff where it's 50-50 in the polls or where the left is actually down, if you take the issues where we have a built-in advantage already and you lean into those, you bait the Republicans into showing their true nature and their true cards to the American people, and the American people would be just terrified of that. Look, he's attacking what's called the People's Charter, making fun of a $15 minimum wage, canceling student debt, affordable housing for all. He says, oh, that's like Russia. Universal health care. See, it's easy for the left to bait the right into admitting they don't have reasonable goals. Because remember, even when Trump ran in 2016, one of the reasons he won is because on a bunch of issues, he outflanked in rhetoric the Democrats and made it seem like, no, actually, I'm going to do this. So, for example, stopping outsourcing was one. There was an interview with 60 Minutes where he said, yeah, we're going to have healthcare for everybody, and if you can't afford it, we're going to take care of it. The government's going to take care of it. Now, listen, he contradicts himself all the time. He didn't follow through on any of that stuff. All that's clear. But there's a reason why when he was campaigning trying to win, before his instincts were dulled by Fox News, there's a reason why he said these things. Because it's duh. If you're a politician, you're supposed to be like, hey, I would like to help you and make your life better. Whereas these idiots are like, can you believe that they want to make people's lives better? Ridiculous. No, maybe you're ridiculous. $15 minimum wage is like an 80% issue, according to the polls. Canceling student debt is also wildly popular. Universal healthcare, 70% of the country now supports Medicare for all. They don't, and by the way, notice, they never actually present an argument. They just list these things with outrage. Universal healthcare. Ha! And then universal health care. You didn't say anything. Like, you got to make a point. Universal health care is bad because they got nothing. Because they know if they try to explain it, if they try to lay it out, they will look incredibly stupid. They already look stupid, but they look even more stupid. Guys, there are videos, and we've covered them on this show. There are videos where Fox News used to argue against protections for pre-existing conditions. I'm not kidding. They argued against protections for pre-existing conditions. And what happens is, historically, the left gets, some victories over time, and it becomes a third rail after you win on a lot of these things. Because then people are like, are you kidding me? We're going to go back to a time when, we didn't have Medicare, for example. We didn't have Social Security. What are you, out of your mind? That's why it's viewed as a third rail. You can't touch it. You can't openly run on cutting Social Security. People will be like, fuck you. It's the same thing. Now the Republicans have to pretend like they're for protecting pre-existing conditions, even though they're not. They're doing a court case to slap down all of Obamacare. But they have to pretend like it because it's like, yeah, it's the duh thing. But what people are realizing, at least in terms of the economic stuff that the left pushes for, all of it is the duh thing. All of it. The entire left economic agenda is not actually even a left economic agenda. It is the moderate position. It is the mainstream position. It is the centrist position of the American people, which is why they have like 65%, 70% for virtually all these issues. So yes, see, this is why lefties should run, and they should lean into all the economic stuff and even go as far as framing it as like, actually, no, I'm the centrist because I'm right in the center of mainstream American opinion. You're the extremist. How you like them apples, Fox? I'll go ahead, casually make an argument against a living wage, you dipshits. I'd love that. You bait them into showing their true colors. That's what this is. And it's hilarious how propagandized they are. Now, there are people in their audience who are, 82 years old who are watching this, shaking their head going, that's right. But that is a tiny sliver of the country. A tiny sliver. There's even people watching this segment who go, they pause. Wait, some of that stuff seems perfectly reasonable. What are you talking about? Some of that stuff Trump pretended to believe in. What are you talking about? So just do this and let them expose their true colors. And that's how you win elections. You win elections by leaning into stuff where you're popular and your opponent is not. You can bait the Republicans easily into taking unpopular positions. And then, by the way, after they do that, laugh at them. I mean, they're worthy of mockery. This is worthy of mockery. So I'm just a humble guy giving some election advice here. That's all I'm doing. But it always is something, isn't it? It's like when Sean Hannity put the thing on the screen attacking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for her agenda, and you would swear that the thing that was put up on the screen was made by some intern who is pro AOC and against Sean Hannity, because the list was just like, it was awesome and it sounded awesome. Like, they didn't even have the framing where they try to spin it to make it sound more nefarious than it is. Like, you know how with healthcare that they would say like government takeover of healthcare or socialized medicine. That's them putting the spin on it to be like, isn't this bad? But no, for the Hannity thing, I think they listed it as Medicare for all, which polls again at 70%. So people read that and they'll be like, aren't some of those things good? Aren't they all good? So anyway, Fox News, total idiots. These are really rich people, really elitist people pretending to be like for the average Joe and Jane. And then when you see a moment like this, you realize you've been had. You've been took.